Welcome
to
the Crane Reframe, a Frasier fan video.
So we're venturing into our little videos for our podcast to go alongside it, so you'll still be able to listen to the podcast, but we might have some video content for you. It is Halloween.
It actually is. This is Halloween weekend, so
yeah. So last year we talked about this
costume.
This
These
costume.
exact costumes, actually. Sarah is a sexy
Cyrano
de Bergerac.
Yeah.
I am a not sexy Chaucer.
Yeah. So we did it.
We did it.
We delivered on our
Frasier
promise.
in the Halloween episode.
And I'm Niles in the Halloween episode.
You're welcome. This is how committed we are.
Yeah. And we had to have video evidence because we thought it'd be weird if we just dressed up for the podcast and no one
And
saw.
it's an audio.
Yeah, an audio format. It's officially Halloween. We've reached the season.
Ooh,
Spooky. There's not too many Halloween Frasier episodes.
Only a couple.
We already covered two of the three. Yeah. So we decided we're gonna
do
murder.
A murder most foul. Except we're not even doing that episode.
Yeah.
We'll save that one.
Yeah.
The one I'm doing could have been a dinner party episode.
Oh, yeah. I realized that you never told me which one you're actually doing. I was so confused because you said the quote, and I was like, I thought you were doing that episode.
No, I'm not
wow.
doing murder.
Y'all, even I'm shocked.
She is shocked. Should I just get into it?
Get into it.
Get into it. We are doing season 6, episode 18, Taps at the Montana. Why? This is a David and David situation.
Love a David and David.
Written by David Lloyd, directed by David Lee.
Oh.
Weird.
Huh.
This episode aired March 25th, 1999.
Oh, just barely BS.
It actually, technically, isn't. You were definitely conceived at this literal time because it is 9 months almost to the day from your birthday.
Wow.
So this episode premiered and
I was more than a thought.
You were conceived.
I don't like to think back on that
I literally laughed to myself watching this episode thinking about that.
That I was
like, wow, I can't wait to tell her she was conceived. Okay, so the Frasier title this episode has a rain cloud.
glad we're doing this now.
Yep.
It's in there.
And it goes along with the intro to this episode because Frasier and Niles come home to the apartment and they're basically miserable because of a terrible dinner experience.
Of course.
At this time, Daphne is with Donnie.
It's that.
Yep. And they went to a restaurant and Daphne and Donnie were sat next to them. So they tried to reposition and I think they moved tables, or at least move their table.
Yeah.
And then Maris and her new boyfriend were at the other table. Where I'm like, what is this? Seattle has a lot of restaurants.
Yeah, it's a city.
It's a major city.
It's not
metropolis.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get
That's
it.
a worst nightmare, I think.
It's a very worst nightmare situation. That would make it a great episode, like a bottle episode, trying to avoid 2 different couples in a restaurant.
That's true. That could have been a good, but then they would have to show Maris.
Yep. I thought of that.
I keep hitting my nose.
He makes a joke about Maris hiding behind her breadstick.
Coyly hiding behind her breadstick.
Yes, and it just adds to the lore of it all. Just
how tiny can she get?
I mean, still from the vacations episodes we did where she was the coat rack.
That one I'm
pretty good.
Hard to wrap my mind around.
Ross's face, oh my god.
The shock. Oh, to be that snatched. That someone
Who wears a black veil on a cruise? Sorry, okay. He's also complaining about the Shangri-La because that's where he's living at this time.
Nothing like that name, though.
Yeah, the Shangri-La, which is a personal paradise. That's why it's hilarious.
Really?
But it's divorce.
It's his personal hell.
It's 100% his personal hell. And he blames Frasier for not being able to move back in, despite at this point, like, the divorce is over. Like, he can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And Frasier's like, may I remind you, you practically begged me to find you a sublet. Like, I got you a sublet. He has 2 months on the lease. Like, you'll be back there soon.
Yeah.
And Daphne comes home at this time, and she's, like, swooning. She's, like, had the best evening with Donnie, and is, like, talking about how amazing he is, and how she didn't... Sorry.
No, you're fine.
And how she didn't like something she ordered, so he, like, sent it back and, like, stood up to the server and stuff like that. And she just kind of prances off to her room in this, like, swoony, dreamy state or whatever. And Niles is like, I want to go home. But he means the Montana.
Yeah.
And Frasier's just like, okay, I'll call and see if Dr. McClowry will leave 2 months early. Like, see if he'll end his sublet early. So we cut to outside the Montana apartment of Niles. And clearly... Dr. McClowry had agreed to move out because they're knocking on the door, trying to get in.
They're already
He's
at
not
that
answering.
Stage.
One of the neighbors walks by and she's like asking how his trip went and stuff. And Frasier's
like to Africa.
Yeah. Frasier's like, what do you mean trip? He's like, I said I was touring Africa. So they let themselves in because they're not getting an answer. And Niles is like, oh my God. Like, look at this place. Like, I've missed it so much. Let me just, like, close my eyes, enjoy the serenity, the peace of it all. And at that same exact time, you hear all this, like, and a man comes dancing on that, like, balcony hallway behind the couches. And
just full send.
Full send, Broadway musical number, tap dancing all over the place. Doesn't even notice 2 men in his apartment.
Cool.
And
that's
they're
good
like,
survival skills.
Shocked. And they talk about, like, they finally interrupt him. And he's like, oh, I love dancing. And, like, I took it up a few years ago. And he's like, your neighbors, like, suck. They've been, like, complaining this whole time. And they're like, yeah, you're fucking tap dancing.
That's when you, like, self-reflect.
Yep.
You're like, why are they all
hating you?
Hating me. Am I doing something maybe annoying?
You didn't even hear your door knock. You didn't hear 2 men come in because you've been tapping.
That's time for an intervention, Dr. McClowry.
This is an intervention. We're intervening on your lease.
Yes.
The tenant board arrives, like some of the members. They start knocking on the door, which I'm like, did they have like a scheduled meeting?
Yeah, how did they know
to come? Yeah. So they're basically like, yeah, we've actually been trying to get a hold of you for the past 4 months. We have bore noise in this building and we couldn't get a hold of you. So we're actually thinking of rescinding your lease. And Niles is like, why? Because you're a menace, Crane.
I love that. It's like Scooby-Doo.
It's so Scooby-Doo. You're a menace, Crane.
That's like, and right when he was like, oh, thank God, I'm going to get my apartment back. They're like,
this guy's
psych.
Leaving. So he's freaking out. They're like, we're voting on it tomorrow. So, you know, dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
like
dun.
a timeline is there.
Yeah.
And then another guy chimes in and he's like, you have a reputation in this building. All these ruckus parties you throw. Which, what ruckus parties?
His dinner parties?
Yeah.
They would hate to see me coming. That's not a party.
To see the Crane Boys coming. He's like, I'm not a well man. I have a heart problem and we demand quiet. Our board meeting's tomorrow evening where we plan on discussing your situation. And if I were you, I wouldn't plan on unpacking. Dun, dun, dun.
He low-key, he ate that. I have to give that to him.
That is villain era television character.
Yeah.
Like, TV movie, like,
fuck me, I guess.
Fuck. We have a big conundrum. We have to solve it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
The next day, we cut to them in the apartment again, the Montana. And Frasier's clearly, like, setting up a table and drinks. And Niles and Daphne are there as well. And Daphne's like, oh, Frasier, it's so nice of you to help Dr. Crane. And he's like, yes, well, in a way I am responsible. And Niles is like, not sure why, just because you sublet my apartment to Bojangles the Loon.
Not Bojangles.
Bojangles. I think that's a famous tap dancer. Dang it. I wanted to look that up. Sorry.
This is
pregnant.
This is not Frasier the Fact Show. I'm sorry. We just speculate here. We speculate and throw ideas around.
This podcast isn't called Frasier Facts with Sarah and Ash.
No, it's a reframe, and we can reframe it however we want
it.
You don't come here to know what really happened. You come for what we think happened.
What we're guessing happened.
I guess.
We'll see.
He probably was a tap dancer.
So Frasier.
I thought he was a clown, so I don't know.
Bojangles, I'm almost certain he's a dancer.
Some sort of entertainer. I think you're right with dancer.
I just see hands. And to me that's like
Bojangles. Yeah.
Okay. So
Sure. Let's go with that.
Frasier's trying to cheer Niles up per the usual. And he's like, try to just win over the board with your wit and your conversation. They're gonna see you as an asset. Doorbell rings. It's Roz and Martin. And she brings in like a bottle of wine and she's like, hey Niles, cool party. Literally laughing in his face because it's all these old people sitting around, like the board's there already, like on the couch, and like
just like,
yeah, it's super awkward because it's an old people party.
OPP.
And like I just love Ross like looking at Martin like, your son's a dork.
She's like, okay.
And he's like, thanks for coming on such short notice. Our caterer cancels. I need you to cut up some limes, pour some drinks. Like,
this is not the first time
yeah,
that the people have been asked to be bartenders,
I know,
waitresses, cooks.
She's like, you think I'm so hard up I'd spend an evening pushing drinks in God's waiting room? Burn. And guess why Martin's there? He's there to woo the old ladies.
This is very strategic, the way this was planned.
And he's like, I'm just a piece of meat to you.
What can we say? Martin, the ladies love Martin.
They do love.
He can't hold that title and be upset when it's used.
They got it bad, and
that ain't good.
The best. So Daphne's there, and guess what? Guess what happens in this episode?
What?
Daphne's earring.
No way.
Yes, so many ways. Daphne's earring falls off into her shirt, and she's like, oh, my loose earring. Oh, and like tries to grab it, and she's like, I'm so grateful it didn't fall into the punch bowl and like choke someone. Like,
weird. Is that motive?
But
why would you say murder? I have to say, I've literally never lost my earring like this.
What is this? Like,
y'all need better backs on the earrings.
90s trope.
Yeah, go. What? Like that's all that happens to women?
I need
at least let them lose their lipstick or something.
Just anything. A necklace. Switch it up. Lose their lipstick.
Just something else feminine.
That's a feminine thing.
We can't have real problems. I don't have an actual dilemma.
I lost my tampon.
Where'd it go?
I hope it's not in the punch bowl.
Oh, God.
Oh, it would expand. It would be so big in there.
Turn it into like an advertisement for Tampax.
Yeah.
They're like, look how much it absorbs.
Half the punch is gone.
You can still wring it out.
Hope you didn't want any. But no, it was not a tampon. It was
just
an
another
earring.
fucking earring, bro. I can't imagine.
I could not believe it because I was like, there's already so many before, and here's another earring episode.
And there's more, I bet you.
It's
just funny because like we've watched the show so much, but it wasn't till we were doing the podcast that we're like, wait a minute.
We're really paying attention.
Why is everyone losing an earring?
Why is that like it pushes?
We've already covered so many episodes with it.
It's used to push a narrative around, like
yeah, just
forward.
Oh, someone.
Like, so someone lost an earring, so that means all these other things can happen now.
Okay,
know?
I am interested though, because what happens after this that even necessitates her talking about her earring almost falling?
Pretty important thing happens. Pretty important thing happens, actually. Pretty big.
Never mind, I think I remember.
Yeah.
You're like, not good.
So Niles is mingling, and the board members are like, how'd your African tour went? Like, did people there even like your lectures? And Niles has a great joke. He goes, yes, they did. And like with pride, he's like, except for the pygmies, most of it went right over their heads. Like, ha ha ha.
Like a little dork joke.
And they all just stared at him. It was so
Not
sad.
even a pity laugh.
Not even a smirk.
These people are evil.
Not even a smirk. Bunch of jerks.
No smirk jerks.
No smirk jerks.
All right. So, on the topic of murder, I am bringing to the table season 11, episode 8, Murder Most Maris.
A murder most foul.
It aired November 11th, 2003, so after Sarah.
Oh, an AS.
AS. It was season 11, so.
We haven't seen a lot of... Yeah, I guess anything like after what? Season 7? Season 7 and on is AS.
Yeah, pretty much. So it was directed by Scott Ellis. It's a new one for me, I think. Rated...
It's funny because you're not dumb.
I was reading writers, and I was like, nah, I'll say written. Okay. Written
Sorry.
by David Angel.
Sorry.
Written by David Angel, Peter Casey, and David Lee. The title is based on the quote from Hamlet, murder most foul, as in the best it is, but this most foul, strange, and unnatural. Who knows what the fuck that means?
That's a whole different podcast.
It's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, this isn't literature with Ashley and Sarah.
No.
No.
So this is the last episode where Niles' apartment is shown, and it also is starting to wrap up like the Maris part of Frasier, like kind of wrap up her story, you know, tie up that loose end. So we pick up after an episode where we did see Maris's Argentinian pole star Esteban de Rojo, her boyfriend. She was dating this guy, and he came and punched Frasier. And then at the end of the episode, we saw on TV that she is being like accused of murdering him.
Yep. That was how the episode previous.
Yeah. So we kind of pick up there where we're like, okay, we just saw this guy, and now it sounds like she murdered him. So Frasier and Martin are coming to comfort Niles. Martin called his buddies at the station to see if he could find out anymore. Daphne's talking about like, I can't believe he's dead. He was standing right here. Martin's like, how are you holding up, son? And Frasier chimes in, as well as can be expected. Like, fuck Niles, apparently. Like, forget what he's going through.
This is like when Frasier is like super kind of silly version of himself.
I feel like season 11 Frasier is my favorite. Yeah. He is so ridiculous.
He's super dramatic.
Yeah.
Super like indulgent into himself. Like they really just lean into like the they're making his annoyances kind of goofy.
Yeah, and I still feel like season 11 as a whole, to me, it seems like they just throw in like anything that they ever thought of doing, and they're like, it's the last season.
Let's just go.
Like, let's do Clown Frasier.
Oh yeah.
Let's do the weird dream one.
Yeah,
like, it was anything goes, and I was so here for it.
And you were like, anything does go with me.
Yes, for sure. So they're just talking about like how crazy is it that Maris could have killed someone, and Frasier's all jokey like, well, we've seen her murder many a lively dinner party. Murder.
Oh, sorry.
And they're like, Frasier, what the fuck? Like, that's what they say. What the fuck?
Yeah. Just like it.
Yeah. Like, okay, that's not the time or the place. And
She's
he's like,
literally in jail for murder.
like, and there's a man dead, like, regardless. And he's like, haven't I earned a right to my gallows humor? Aren't you all forgetting that just this afternoon I was punched in the face by a man now dead? And I never really realized until watching this, but like Martin, Niles, and Daphne actually all look down. Like he says this and they look like they're like, damn, yeah.
Well, because at that point, it's it's earnest almost, you know. Yeah, he's being dramatic, but Daphne was just saying like he was standing right here, like what the hell. So they're all kind of having this like realization of like,
here's what I have to say though. Throughout the whole episode, anytime he says it, they do look down.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, that's what I was gonna tell you earlier.
There's not a point where they all are like, oh
no,
my
that's
gosh.
what I thought in rewatching it. Like literally, I will obviously get to it, but like the whole time, anytime he says it, they actually seriously like look down in mourning.
I know we're gonna get to the very last one he does.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought they all were just like
over it. You'd think. No, yeah. But actually, like, I don't think there's a time that any of them are like, Frasier, like, seriously knock it off.
Like,
they don't.
No one cares.
Like, they just don't. They're like, yeah, man, he got punched. The guy's dead.
The guy who punched him is dead now.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So
sorry.
the phones start ringing. Niles has to go to the police station. He's starting to get nervous. Like, what do they want from me? And Martin's trying to calm him down. Like, they're just going to ask you. You had lunch with her, like, literally today or yesterday. So he starts telling his family, like, what happened during his lunch with Maris and that he lent her this antique crossbow for a recreation of a painting that she was doing with one of her groups. And this painting, it's a whole thing. It's like, it's like Martyrdom of St. Ursula by Attila the Hun. I gotta be real. If you look this up, there's like paintings that come up and then certain people say he's referencing a certain artist. But like overall, it's like referencing a certain story. And she's just recreating that.
Yeah. But it's not a specific painting.
No, I think it's kind of like a mixture, or maybe he just references it in a weird way. But
okay, yeah, but it's not a literal painting.
But for some reason, she needs a legit antique crossbow.
Hey, if you're a still life painter, you need the still life to paint. So
that's true.
You need like if you're painting a crossbow,
like,
you
make
gotta
one out of
crossbow.
cardboard. Like
you think Maris is gonna make one out of cardboard?
No, I'm just like they need a reality check.
She needs
go to Goodwill and go
find your crossbow.
Go to Michael's and figure it out.
I'm sure Walmart sells a crossbow.
Oh yeah. I would not get a crossbow from Walmart.
It's probably the only place you could.
That's true. So he's saying he gave this to her, and Martin's like, well, did she say anything about her boyfriend? And he's like, well, she said she felt unsafe. I'm like, that's scary. Like, it sounded like they're making out that this guy's basically like abusive
dangerous,
to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. She felt unsafe. She felt like he probably only wanted her for the money. And then Niles also told her like you should end the relationship. Which I'm like, that already sounds like I feel like police could be like,
yeah, whoa, there's motive.
But according to Martin, he's like, well, it'll take more than that to tie you into a murder. And then the TV news report is like, this just in. It turns out like Maris killed Esteban with an antique crossbow.
Lent to her by.
Yes. So Daphne's like, oh my God, you gave her the murder weapon. The phones start ringing. It's like media trying to get a story. Niles starts hyperventilating because now it's like being implicated that he was involved.
Yeah, accomplice.
Yes. So him and Martin just go straight down to the station. Frasier stays with Daphne because they have a doctor's appointment tomorrow for her pregnancy.
She can't be stressed right now. You can't be stressed.
That's why Niles is like, just stay here, get rest. The next day, they're at the apartment, Frasier's apartment. Martin and Niles finally return. The next day.
Overnight question.
Yes, overnight. So they're all freaked out, and he's like, well, it's lots of waiting. Fortunately, we found a nice cold metal bench between two drunk bikers and a pimp who called me Peaches. Which kind of reminds me of his prep school like nickname, the Peach Fuzz.
Peach Fuzz. Oh, call back.
So he does like it kind of is a hint here. Like he barely got any sleep in the sleep he did get is on a cold metal bench between people that he might not feel very safe around. Not good.
And it's overnight. And he's older. Sorry, after 35, you need a bed.
Yeah,
you do need a bed.
Even at my age, I'm starting to be like, I can't be sleeping anywhere
except my bed.
Yeah, so they find out a little more that supposedly Maris and her boyfriend had a fight. She kicked him out, and then she just starts practicing her pose with a crossbow to like calm her nerves. But then he broke back in, and she was freaked out, so she like just shot him.
Oh, this is accidental.
Supposedly. Oh, I accidentally picked up. I was just picking up my crossbow. So everyone else is pretty like skeptical, and Martin's like, well, she also, when they found her, she had a passport, a wig, and $10,000 in her purse. Niles is like, well, she always has that.
I was gonna say that literally just sounds like normal Maris stuff.
Yeah. So everyone else is like, dude, I don't know. Like maybe he was a shitty guy, but it just kind of sounds like she murdered him. Mm-hmm. Niles is in denials, but also it comes back to my episode of like, just because they're shitty doesn't mean they deserve to die. Yeah, like it's still
a murder.
He just can't believe she could have planned it. They also read a newspaper with a lot of misinformation, and now this is starting to get to Daphne because she's like,
oh yeah, they call her a housekeeper.
And it paints a bad picture of like Niles's marriage situations.
It also, I wonder if they're doing this because, and like it's a big deal because they're referencing how it's wrong information. It's not true, right? That she's a housekeeper. You know?
Yeah.
Because throughout the whole show, Frasier introduces her as 8 million different things. Like
yeah.
Healthcare worker, housekeeper, physical therapist,
yeah.
Massage therapist.
That's true.
Like, you know, yeah. And like house worker, like.
Yeah, like all kinds of things.
So I think it is funny that they're like clarifying at the very end of the whole series.
Yeah, like, no, that's not her job.
She's not a housekeeper.
That's not. You're lucky that she helps.
Yeah. For freaking real.
So Daphne starts freaking out. She's like, Maris slithered her way back into their lives. Like, how can Niles be so calm? He's just consoling her and like making light of the situation. Frasier's even congratulating Niles on choosing to be calm, which I'm like, Frasier, this is where you don't step in. Like, the pregnant woman is mad at her husband. this is where you leave yourself out of it and you just let them figure it out.
I don't know.
Now's not the time to be like, Niles, great job not caring about your wife's feelings.
I don't know what that's like at all.
No, that's never happened.
Pregnant women do be getting mad at their husbands.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a time where there's so much going on and like so much on the pregnant person to be like,
and then your husband is being framed for murder essentially, or
yeah, like an accomplice with his ex-wife, which is then insinuating like he has some sort of like connection with her where still. Yeah, which is like none of that's comfortable, and she probably would feel better if he like stood up and was like, fuck this, like I did not. But yeah. I think him trying to...
Because he agreed to go to lunch with her.
Yes. And so you're noticing, like, Niles is starting to get pulled, right? Like, he's going through, like, basically having to make sure that he's not tried for accomplice to a murder. So that's, like, a huge weight. But then he has his pregnant wife.
That he needs to calm
down. He's trying to help Maris. Frasier has something going on. Like, it's just starting to be...
And he's trying to show everyone, like, I got this. It's not a big deal. I can handle this. It's all good. It's all good.
So then he's like, well, we have that doctor's appointment today. Like, I'm going to go with you. I don't want to miss hearing the baby's heartbeat. And he even says there's plenty of time to sleep after the baby's born. Ha ha ha. But hinting again, like, this man has not slept, which is also, like, huge.
And you see, like, his hair's a little
disheveled. His hair is starting to get disheveled.
The tie is a little loose.
Yeah.
We're seeing the signs.
It's not looking good for him.
It ain't looking good.
So now we're at Cafe Nervosa. Roz is already here, and then Niles walks up, again, still looking disheveled, hair mess. And she's asking, like, how you doing, buddy? Like, you're not looking great. And he's like, oh, I'm fine. Like, people are whispering and pointing at me when I'm walking around because they think I, like, gave a murder weapon. Yes. But it's fine.
Yeah.
Just kind of brushing off, like, that can't be comfortable.
I also do love that it's such a Niles murder weapon.
Yeah, like an antique crossbow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Couldn't be a gun.
But it would be an antique gun if it was.
Yeah. And then he ends up sitting down with Frasier and Ross, and Maris calls him, asking for help, saying Big Judy stole her shoes in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Frasier's like, well, how often is Maris calling you?
Big Judy.
Yeah, it's like a ridiculous thing that, like, Maris put her shoes out of her cell to get polished, and then they got stolen. And it's like she literally keeps causing issues for herself and then goes crying to Niles, like, can you help me? What is he going to do? Like, how is he going to go to the prison?
Does she not have friends?
No.
Your look was just like, please, it's Maris.
Yeah, no. So Frasier obviously asks how often she's calling. Niles is like, more often than you'd think. Like, she's in jail, but somehow she's calling me. But I can't turn my back on her. Like, she's fighting for her life. Yes, you can.
You can actually say
Not your
no.
fault. Not your fault that she murdered her boyfriend.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I heard today? No is a full sentence.
yup, it is. You can have concern, but like,
You gotta
dude,
protect your peace.
if she like actually did this in cold blood and now you're like, you
look like you're
taking the hit.
sympathizing with a murderer.
And you're like taking the hit to your mental health, to your family, to your friends, all of that just
For
to
what? She's
help
not
her.
even your friend.
No, she's fucked him over many a time.
Slept with your couple's therapist.
Yes.
Ugh,
Tried to like just win the fuck out of their divorce until he had the upper hand. So
yeah, it's all insane.
So then there's more news vans outside. Niles was thinking of making a statement, but Frasier's like, no, that would fan the flames. I should speak for you. I have all the experience with how words can be twisted and edited. He makes a statement. Niles has already left, so he doesn't even see this
He's
shit.
like, I'm a spokesperson for the Cranes, right?
Yes, I'm a Crane spokesperson. And it seems like the statement's going well. It's like professional. It's good. And then all of a sudden,
I remember it being very dramatic and intense.
yes. Mm-hmm. And then it ends with, if there's any justice in the world, Maris Crane and Niles Crane will soon be executed. And he doesn't even realize that he didn't say exonerated until like Roz points it out. And he's like, no, I didn't say that.
Oh my
And then he has to like go back. So later we see it's playing over and over again on the news. Again, he meant exonerated.
And Daphne's fucking pissed.
She is. So Niles and Daphne pull up, and he apologizes for his little gaffe. And I'm like, dude, just own up to it.
That's a big one.
You just said on TV that you think your brother should be executed. Like, that speaks volumes.
With his ex-wife.
Yeah. And Daphne's like, oh, it's okay. We know you're only trying to ruin our lives. I mean, help. She just is like, just playing his own.
She's so petty and like passive aggressive.
Yes,
at this,
I love it.
I don't know if it's passive as much as it is just aggressive.
Just aggressive.
Yeah.
Niles has to stay with them for a while because the media's just getting crazy at his apartment building. There's helicopters. And he's still cracking jokes about it. Frasier is still admiring this. And Niles is like, well, I've chosen not to let this get to me. And it hasn't.
And as a therapist, wasn't there an episode where he's like, you need to be angry, Niles? When Maris left the country without telling it.
Yes.
He's like, you need to like feel your emotions. You need to be angry. And now he's like, wow, look at you going through something even worse and you're so calm. How does he not see and know his brother so well that like this is not good?
Well, we're getting there.
Okay.
I don't know why it didn't happen
I've never
sooner.
seen this episode.
No, me too, for yours. Niles then also thanks Daphne in his a heartfelt speech. Daphne says like, oh, I feel sick, like I might throw up, like my stomach hurts. So Frasier is like, can I get you anything? She says, I wouldn't mind 10 years in prison. Oh, I meant crackers. So there's just more pettiness.
Love it.
Frasier, of course, comes in. Yeah. Frasier comes in with, I guess I deserve that, but may I remind you, I'm a bit of a victim myself, as just yesterday I was punched in the face by a man now dead. Thank you. They also all look somber.
And if I was Daphne, I would be like, oh my
Shut the fuck
God.
up.
You're
give
not
it a
the
rest.
fucking victim here.
Yeah. So there's Frasier making himself a victim, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he just wants a little bit of attention. Niles then clearly answers a phone call from Maris and agrees to visit her, but he's like trying to be obvious it's not Maris. So he's like, yeah, of course I can do that. And it's like right next to Daphne.
Like more obvious.
And Daphne's not an idiot. So she's like,
not.
well, what are you promising? He's saying he's going to go visit her. This is Daphne's breaking point where she's like, I've tried to be patient with you. Like, I know, but this is ridiculous. Like, you said that she would not be affecting our lives. Like, here she is. And she kind of just goes off on him and says, like, you're sleeping on the couch.
She was like, but you did, and you are, or you were, so you are.
Yes. She just blames him. Like, if you hadn't gone to lunch with her, we'd literally be fine. But you made that decision. Like, you didn't even tell me about it. So here we are. Niles still, like, she leaves and he's like, oh, poor thing. Let me talk to her.
Oh, yeah, she's just hormonal.
Yeah,
she's
let me just
pregnant.
help her choose to be calm. Like, just completely, like, just ignoring.
Hey, I need you to calm down.
Yeah. And,
the worst thing you could tell a woman, let her go, like, the worst thing you could tell a woman, especially a pregnant woman.
Yeah. Just calm down. Like, just listen. Like, she has a fucking point. But
completely valid.
I think if he showed his emotion for it, she wouldn't have freaked out as much. Because she's just going through this, like, this sucks. And he's like, everything's fine.
Yeah, because she's thinking, like, you're not at the level I am. You don't understand. Like, this isn't, like, fine.
And he's continuing not to stand up to Maris and just, like, be dragged into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, while he goes to talk to Daphne, Frasier starts to catch on. And he's like, look, Martin, like, I even was congratulating him. I admired it, but he's not dealing with his emotions at all. Like, this is getting out of hand. But Martin's like, yeah, that's the whole secret to holding up, is not dealing with your emotions.
Oh man, the greatest generation's way of coping.
For real.
Just
bottle it down.
Just push it. You take that and just shove it down. And just keep it down in there.
So Frasier says he's a walking pressure cooker. It's just like senior year all over again.
Oh no.
Martin knows nothing about this, but apparently Niles got mono and missed 4 weeks of class. So before finals, he was studying nonstop, like not sleeping or anything. And then his girlfriend dumped him for his roommate. So
this is in college.
Yeah,
Oh
and so
God.
Niles
kept
kept.
in college.
I know, it's like me and Niles. Niles kept saying he was fine until they found him in a grocery store freezer bin talking to a bag of frozen corn, whispering, "Why so cold, my love?"
Oh my God, is that why he loves Maris?
No, literally,
She's
someone
so
cold.
icy.
So Niles then comes back in carrying a pillow and stuff to sleep. He's like, "All calm, like everything's fine."
Cool.
He just starts to sound really loopy, and Martin even offers, like, "Do you want me to help you make up the couch?" He's like, "No, I got it." Like, not even accepting any help either.
Who is he trying to prove this to?
Yeah, exactly. Then Frasier decides to share some sherry with him on the balcony. He's like, "Hey, you shouldn't be repressing your emotions." And Niles is just so convinced, like, "No, I gotta be detached. Like, I'm fine." News chopper comes by. There's like wind blowing, bright lights.
Oh, yeah.
Niles still doesn't care. He's like, "You get used to it."
Wasn't there another episode where a helicopter comes up to his balcony?
Yeah, it was
The
Chopper
alien
Dave.
one?
Oh, maybe.
The alien one? Or
There's
no?
one where Chopper Dave. I don't know.
Frasier Facts with
Frasier
Sarah
Facts.
Ash.
Frasier Facts.
But I just think it's cool that that happens multiple times.
Yeah, it is. I haven't really had a news helicopter come up to my place of home.
high-rise balcony.
Yeah, no, that hasn't happened to me.
With a spotlight.
No,
Wow, you're really missing out.
I guess so. The next day, a disheveled Niles comes into Cafe Nervosa. So it's been days now of this man not sleeping.
With like clearly like bedhead.
Bedhead
Without getting any
just
sleepy
looks
bedtime.
crazy. Roz is getting herself a cappuccino and decides to get him one too because he doesn't look good. He's saying, "I didn't sleep again, but I'm committed to keeping my routine. Like, they're taking everything else from me, so they won't take that. I'm taking my coffee and I'm going to work." Which I'm like, showing up to work like this.
You can't help people like that.
Yes. And he says, "Well, all my patients, even though all my patients want to talk about is Maris, and Esteban's brother left a message that I owe him a blood debt. Some days it just doesn't pay to get off the sofa." And that's like as close as we get to him admitting like this shit is fucked.
And he's still making light of it.
He's still making light.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she's asking him the same thing, like, "How are you holding up with this?" And he's like, "I can go to pieces or just beat up and live my normal life." So he just keeps talking about like, it's either I go to pieces or I just don't care. And then that's
my
not
God.
true. Like, you can, and I think because he will not care until he goes to pieces. Like, those aren't your options. Your options are like, you can also just be emotional about it, cry about it, be
Let it
upset,
out in
vent
a
to
healthy
someone,
way,
and
yeah.
then deal with it. Like,
Let it out in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You don't have to like shatter. The only way you shatter is when you keep it all in for
Yes.
so long and then everything explodes.
like a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm. And as we see,
So then to the barista, he's like, "Oh, could I get a straw, please?" And the girl's like, "Oh, sorry, sir. That was the last one."
amazing writing
He like
here.
turns and just is looking into space. And he's like, "I see. The last straw." Is like one of my favorite like
So
line
brilliant.
deliveries.
So
After
brilliant.
everything where he's like not shown at all. Like that he has taken shit. Just shit,
The
shit,
worst
shit.
shit you could think, and the one thing that's about to buckle him is
The last
The
straw.
literal last straw was his last straw.
Yeah. And that's how it goes when you're not dealing with the big issues in your life. All of the one tiny thing will fucking knock you down.
It's like
that's when you get pissed off.
It's like when you get caught on like the door handle with your purse and you're just like,
Yeah.
burn it all down to the ground.
Stub your toe.
Yes.
Just, you're like, fuck. That's the
That's
last
it.
straw.
I'm calling out today.
And that was also kind of our day today.
Oh my god, we did. I literally said that today. Remember,
Yeah,
I was like,
you said, and I was like, this is my episode, right?
yeah, and I totally like forgot you were doing this episode, and then he says that.
But we made it.
But I literally, it was a rough day, guys.
It
To
was
get to
bad.
where we are right now,
Shocking. We turned it around.
we really did turn it around, upside down.
So he starts being like, is it warm in here? And just starts taking off his clothes and Nervosa. Roz is like super concerned because she's never seen him like this. She's like, do you want a straw? I'll get you a straw, Niles.
You can have my straw.
You can have my straw. And he's like, oh, it's fine. I was being smothered, but now I can breathe. And he just like keeps taking clothes off and goes like out of shot. Roz calls Frasier and she's like, Niles is almost completely, and then looks over. She's like, Niles is completely naked. And we just see him behind a
I love
newspaper.
her voice in this.
Her voice on this whole scene is really good.
Yeah, it's like deep and
Yeah.
like funny, but like I don't know.
I don't know what
love
she
how
did, but
does
I
her
like
voice
it.
in
Yeah. Barista comes up. He's like, I'm calling the cops. And Ross turns on him with like her cell phone pointing at him. She's like, the hell you are. Blip, blip. Blip, blip.
Blah blah and blip blip.
She's like, the hell you are. This man tips alone. What the fuck did I write in here?
This guy's tips alone is paid for all the pot you'll ever smoke.
There
in
you
your
go.
life.
So she's like handling the crowd, being like, none of you are saying anything. Frasier walks in. I have to say, this really shows like, I think this is one thing that shows like that he would be a good psychiatrist.
And a good brother.
Yes,
But, yeah,
for sure. It's like an older brother thing.
But it's also a professional psychiatrist that is your older brother.
Like knowing how to respond to the situation and then knowing how to care for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he just walks in and like sits down. He's like, hey, Niles. Niles is like, hey. He's like, what's going on?
And Niles is just with the newspaper.
The newspaper in hand. He's like, heat wave in Texas. Frasier's like, you want to put on some clothes? He's like, no, I was too restricted. And Frasier kind of reaches out and he's like, don't touch me. And like just the fucking
Just, like,
acting from David Hyde Pierce
the
in this scene.
lightness of it all, like, don't touch me.
And he like kind of glares at him and then goes back to reading his paper. Like, it's so good. And
It's
Frasier,
literally like a tight wire, Is that what they're called? Like, you know, walking on a tight wire.
Yeah.
Like, don't do anything.
Duh.
Be very careful here.
yeah, for real. Frasier's like, Niles, look at yourself. And Niles looks down like at his groin. And he's like, hello.
At his
like
groin.
he looks at himself.
I love your PG version of that.
He looks down his dick.
Thank you.
And he's like, hello.
Hello.
I think I'm having that dream where I'm naked and nervosa. She's like, I think a lot of people are having that dream.
I love that he's having a Nervosa breakdown in Nervosa.
Yes, Katme, nervous.
Breakdown.
We have to go now, and he wraps him up in an apron from the baristas and tells him it's like a Christmas present. Supposedly, like, I saw people point out that when Niles stands up, you can actually see like flesh-colored briefs on. But to me, the man looks naked. Like, however they did it, it looks very
they
convincing.
do that because he's not going to be really naked on stage
yes,
filming it. People.
Of course, but the
But
illusion apparently is a little shattered.
Someone's like really trying to see his dick. Why are they
Why
like
are you
looking so
zooming
hard?
in?
Why are you pausing?
Why are
frame
you
by
looking at his
frame?
dick?
Pervert. Although you did text me last week.
When we were deciding episodes, I was like, this one has naked Niles, so I
You're
want to
li-
do it.
You're like, this one has naked Niles, and I was like, pervert. Anywho.
Roz, like, while they're walking out, she turns to everybody again and is like, if any of you call the police, I will find you. And she tells Frasier, like, there's nothing worse than waking up naked to a bunch of cops standing around. So she, like, feels for Niles and is trying to actually help him. So we get out of that situation.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Cut to Niles waking up. He slept for 20 hours.
Could you imagine?
I probably could. I've slept for 16 before.
Was that when you were really sick?
No.
That was just...
My ADHD meds, if I go off of them, I'll sleep a lot.
Oh.
But it's like, if I just, for a weekend, don't take them. I'll just sleep it.
Damn. So when you just need a good sleep, you just don't take those?
I guess so.
Or when you forget to take those, you
Yeah,
get a
when I
good
forget
sleep?
to take those, I get a good sleep. So they're all like, it's Daphne, Niles, Martin, Frasier. You know, the gang's all here. They're trying to actually be there for Niles now, even though all of them had their separate things with him.
Yes.
Maris calls again. Daphne even is like, look, you don't have to take this. I think trying to protect the man's mental health.
Yes.
He's like, no, I should. But he keeps getting cut off by Maris, and you can tell Martin and Frasier are like literally looking at each other like, I guess he's not going to stand up to her. And I was like, come on, give him a minute.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that either. Like,
yeah.
I would expect that at this point he's going to tell her off because
Yeah.
after everything he went through.
But they were kind of like, guess it's going to keep happening. And then finally, Niles is like, he cuts her off and he's like, well, of course you're alone. You're alone because you killed your boyfriend. Which earlier when you're like, doesn't she have friends? No. She killed her boyfriend. She's a shitty person. But he sets the boundary.
She's using him.
She is, and he sets the boundary of, I'm on your side, but I have a wonderful pregnant wife. She comes first. I will help you, but there's a limit.
Snap, snap, snap.
And you have to help me first by saying goodbye. And you can tell she's not like complying because you just hear him go, no, what do you say? Yes, goodbye.
Good girl.
Yeah, for real. I was like, okay, training her. So Daphne looks really proud, and she's like, but it was nice what you said about me, but I haven't been completely wonderful. And he's like, no, you've been irritable and you made me sleep on a couch. Like, just going off.
Yeah, he's letting everyone all have it.
Yes. Frasier chimes in.
No, Frasier don't chime in. It's just
Frasier
anytime Frasier chimes in, it's not.
He always, I don't know why he never thinks he's going to get any of the heat. But Niles goes so far to say the Manson family should have a spokesman like you. And then Niles also calls out Martin for keeping Niles up when they went to the station because he was goofing off with his buddies. So he's like, I could have gotten to sleep and gone home.
That was all Martin's fault.
Yup. So they all start arguing and turning on Frasier because apparently he had Daphne clean his house while she was there.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
the pregnant lady. And
sorry, cut to me at our coffee shop earlier. A row of men all on their phones taking up every seat in the waiting section for their coffees.
Yeah.
And I'm 6 months pregnant, standing next to them, obviously pregnant, standing there just waiting to see if any of them will offer me a chair.
Nope.
Not one of them offered me to sit down.
Yeah.
Freaking men today.
Yeah, where's the chivalry?
Where's just like the kind? Anyways, I can't believe Frasier made her.
No, a pregnant woman. I'm like,
I guess she could have said no though, but whatever. Anyways,
yeah, that's true.
I don't want to victim blame.
Good point. So they're all yelling at Frasier, and he's like, fine, turn your anger on me. It's almost as if you've forgotten that not 3 days ago I was punched in the face by a man now dead. Thank you. And they all look down. They all are like, damn, he's right.
Sorry, I think that of all the times is the one that everyone should have literally been like,
and
oh my God.
The days keep increasing too. He's like 3 days. And after each one he says thank you. Like, he's put on his show and he's like, thanks
for understanding.
And he's like, now who wants pancakes? And they're like, okay,
I want pancakes.
And that's how they end that. And it just reminds me of season 4 episode 12, Death in the Dog, where like Eddie's depressed and then they start talking about like dying.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden the little like bell goes off for the cookies being done, and then they're like, oh, let's have cookies. It's just a similar thing to me. Like, they just kind of wrap up the whole death and like intensity with like, oh, let's go eat something.
Let's go have some pancakes.
Yeah. And then the end credits, we see Niles bring the dry cleaned aprons back to the barista, and then everyone offers him a straw when he orders his coffee. They have like cups and cups of straws everywhere, and everyone is trying to give him one because they don't want him to have a breakdown.
Traumatized. They'll never not have straws.
Never again.
Never again. Wow.
So that was my murder.
Are you guys dressing up for Halloween? Are you guys dressing up as Frasier
Oh my
characters?
God, I would love to see a Frasier costume.
We should be, one of us should be Marty, and then the other one should be
Niles being Marty?
Niles being Marty. Or one of us should be Niles being Marty, and one of us should be the baseball player.
Joe DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio.
Joe Formaggio.
Formaggio? That's
No.
a cheese.
I know, I was just making it up.
Love it. I'll
Love
be
it.
Joe Formaggio.
Yeah.
That'd be a funny, combined costume.
Yeah, for cheese lovers and baseball fans.
Yes.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
It's basically everybody.
Inside baseball.
Inside baseball. All comes back to that.
That was very good, Sarah.
Just goes to show you can't sacrifice your needs for other people.
You cannot. How are you going to take care of yourself? Or
And
take care of other people if you can't take care of yourself?
And you need to set the boundaries. Like, I'm sorry, Niles was going through the most. You could argue maybe Maris, but like he's not has no obligation to her, and like now he's being like dragged into being like
Fair,
an accomplice.
But how do you help somebody who won't recognize that they need help?
Yeah, and she doesn't even care. Like, she's still just like I don't hear anything of like, oh no, I killed my boyfriend.
Yeah.
So they're like, they took my shoes.
Oh, they won't clean my shoes.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
just
girl.
saying, like, yes, Niles was going through the most,
Oh yeah.
but how is he supposed to get help from
I see.
people
I see what you mean.
if he's not seeing that he needs help?
Yeah, because I mean, even Martin offered to like fix his bed.
They're trying to support him, and he's saying, I'm trying to be calm about this. And so they're like, okay, we're proud of you for being calm, but also like,
Yeah. And even though they bring up their own emotions, like if all along he was talking about his, I feel like they could all like commiserate. But instead he like believes like he just needs to fix everything for them and just ignore the fact that he's in the hot seat for like, he is the most.
This is why I
going on.
think he's a Virgo.
Case closed.
Case closed. Astrology episode coming soon.
Hopefully, yeah. We got to
We're
dive
gonna-
in.
We're going to diagnose all of them with a sign. Try and do a big 3 situation.
Well, I would love to do that.
That's kind of spooky.
Yeah.
If we did a little
Next year.
astrology. Yeah, astrology's next Halloween.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And we'll have to do our Marty costumes.
I
Or
w-
something.
Yeah, we'll just keep dressing up every Halloween. I'm glad we made this come to life.
We did it. We talked about this last year.
I know. And
Look
we
at us.
execute. You did.
I have a beard. I mean, a goatee and a mustache.
Yeah. And your hat, your silly little hat.
And you have a silly big nose.
Yeah, we did it.
You have like a peasant top and your corset. You're literally hot Cyrano.
That was the goal.
That was literally what you wanted to be. And I was like, okay, but you have to have the nose though, but also be hot.
This is a Despicable Me nose.
Your Gru.
Because they don't sell Cyrano noses on Amazon.
It's really good though.
It's a Gru nose.
It's perfect though.
Yeah.
For the costume.
Shit hurts though, so I would look elsewhere if you were gonna be Gru or Cyrano.
Or if you have piercings.
Yeah, I got my septum stuck in it, so.
Because there's actual nostrils.
So you can breathe.
In the nose, there's literal nostrils.
Yeah.
Where nostrils would be. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Yeah, I guess you do have to breathe. But anyways, happy Halloween,
Happy
everybody.
Halloween. Thanks for spending this time with us.
Happy Frasier Halloween.
Frasier Halloween. Go enjoy the Halloween episodes. Carve a pumpkin.
Don't get murdered.